Welcome back. This is part two. I don't quite know where I left off. I believe I was trying to get Patty's 911 transcript from July of 2019 ready for you to hear. So it's ready now. Here we go.
Yeah. So it's sad to watch, and I really hesitated to call the police because I hated to do that. But they've been to his house before, and I'm sure that somebody gentle is going to come that understands it and is able to help him. But after the Secret Service was here, he had gone to Washington D.C. and anyways, they
Secret Service?
Yeah, Secret Service.
Did they say why they were there?
Yeah, they did say why they were there because he drove to Washington, D.C. with his computer to share with the president information that was on his computer, and the Washington police arrested him, and so he then drove home, and then the Secret Service followed him or something, but anyways, he gave the Secret Service my name, and they...
There, that's all you need to hear. Because she says they followed him back or something, which is what HLL 9533 said in Arvid's backyard, admitting and confiding in Arvid a statement that's backed up by Patty's testimony. So I've got the right guy. But I have even a third way that I know that I've got the right man. Once I heard that in his backyard, I decided to confront him when he parked in front of Patty's house one summer day this summer. And I said, Mr. Secret Service Man, Mr. Secret Service Man, can I see your ID, please? And the man mumbled an excuse. Now, if he wasn't the Secret Service imposter, he would have said, what are you talking about? Or blown it off completely. But instead, he gave an excuse as to why he didn't have his ID. So, again, he told on himself by still trying his best to impostor the Secret Service. The reason why everybody in the neighborhood is so quiet about things are because I think they're knowledgeable of the technology in the neighborhood. And the police are too, and the police have told the neighbors to ignore me and that they would take care of everything. What that says is that Arvid and the police are working together, and Patty, because them taking care of things involves ignoring me, not addressing the crimes that they did, and covering up for their own liability. I'm guessing by the traffic that I've observed being in the right spot at the right time. Arvid has signed documents or something of the like, and had people over to, I guess, plan or whatever. I do wonder if he's, in fact, the person responsible for R&M also. I think it might also be possible that the technology could potentially be creating an effective R&M. And I could, in fact, be being attacked by the technology instead of R&M. It's really hard to tell, because both would be similar. Remember, the technology that is now everywhere in our environment also can transform from one part of the electromagnetic spectrum to another. That's witnessable by it changing to camouflage against any of the background that I'm viewing. So if it can do it within the visual range of the human eye, which would be the rainbow, and it looks like it can create supersonic sound waves or something similar that would blur or swirl the environment through a smart camera lens. What that means is that it could probably transform into microwaves and enter just as if it came from a tower or satellite or base. I don't know if I'm 100% correct on that, but there's something to be said for the possibility that it could be something else and not R&M. So it's just a matter of time before it's revealed. I feel fully confident because this issue is going to get resolved. I'm very lucky. The reason it's going to get resolved is because the situation in the neighborhood is serious enough to get it resolved correctly. So, government, there's nothing that I've done wrong or illegal, even though you've been told tons of stories. If you look into my actual record of things, you'll see that I have had a beautiful life that is full of law-abiding, patriotic past. It's only since my experience of that I have developed a sour taste for you. I believe that you have the ability to lead us instead of killing us. And if you choose to do that, it would be great. And I think it's possible. The alternative is continuing down this horrible path that will result in a military takeover because the amount of lies and deception, people running around and basically being a big criminal organization, it's really out of hand. And business as usual is looking and is really unusual because the amount of law breaking going on is huge. And it runs almost every single aspect of government. You can always try doing things the right way. If it doesn't work, you can go back and you can go ahead and do your corrupt thing again, you know? But you could try to do the right thing. Because we need that from our leaders. We've expected it our whole lives. And the image that's given is that you're delivering that. The reality is unfortunately very different. What you can do, though, is you can admit the mistakes you've made. Because nobody is as powerful as you and not going to take you over if you self-admit. And you'll maintain power, which is what you want. Ultimately, that's why you want to control people so bad, to make sure that you stay in power. What should be remembered is by giving freedom and preserving and upholding rights, you gain the respect of the people. And that means that they'll defend you and be proud of you and be patriotic. Just like you want, and just like you put a bunch of propaganda out there, except it would be real and everybody would be happy. It's a chance to do things the right way. What's going on in the neighborhood can be resolved very quickly. And my captors shared with me a future where I would take the downfall for things. It might be true that that was set up that way. Because they didn't want to get in trouble, or they didn't want to reveal that they were planning a coup, because that's a possibility as well. Here's my concern. Excuse me. There's so much of this technology in the environment right now that if people get what they want and then are supposed to get what is expected or what was promised, it might be very short-lived. In other words, if they were given control of the world, right, or something like that, something powerful that my neighbors wearing underoos and capes of blankets running around the house in charge. They might have that opportunity, but the technology might decide to turn everything pitch black. And their ruling days would be the darkest and the scariest and the most miserable. Because the devil likes to tease that way. They can get what they want. You can try and run the world when we can't grow food, when we can't find our homes, when we can't see our own bodies. Because it would be in the environment and everything around 3D would be pitch black. You might be thinking, this is perfect for the planned blackout. I would suggest highly not playing with the devil. I would highly suggest not experimenting with it. Now, there's a possibility too that they're just wearing costume and looking scary because that's what they were told to do, and that they are in fact a um, outer culture or alien entity. The reason I say that is because it's highly advanced. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's odd that it's pretty much, I think, only directed at me. The way to know that would be to get validation from other neighbors. I don't know how I'm going to get that because I can't get anybody to open their mouth. And they all ignore me. That's why I need the government's help. That's why I sent off my 85th FBI report. So they have something to read to see what's going on. And I informed them of Arvid's device on my Apple ID and my Google account that I found a couple days ago. So that to me says setup because my phone number was used for FaceTime, but I didn't go on the app. He also has a voice emulator, or somebody does. So that was told to me in, of course, my head with the microwave auditory effect, which you know about, using the voices of my mom, my dad, my brother, Tyler, and I think that's it. So, what I would suggest is making a clean break from the negative things that are going on. You creating the Bible story and having fun doing it of the end of the world it's really too much. It really is. And you don't have to do that. But your response would be, but we put up all of those lasers up on the satellites and yeah, I know. But you don't have to start forest fires. You don't have to blow up the crust of a caldera to make volcanic explosions happen or use it to sear through a glacier so sea level rises. You don't have to do all this. My question is, why are you? Maybe you're under a bad influence too, because my neighbors are kind of trapped in this mindset that they're currently in. And it's amazing to be outside of it and watching it. And I'm just completely flabbergasted. Um, all my neighbors have turned on me, and I continue to deliver the news of what's going on and what is going on for their benefit. But Patty has said to them, he suffers from a mental illness, and probably informed them to call the police if he starts talking, because that would keep me silenced, you see. If I'm not able to speak outside, and somebody's running and calling the police because the police are going to help us. I tell you what, Master Patty, she's got a big whip. She wants to keep me in line. Yes, she does. So, I know government, it would be a big step for you, but seeing the direction we're going, if we stay on that path, it might be very dangerous for your own future. And I'm not prepared to watch my great country fall apart. I don't want that. And I assume you don't either. Self-sabotage is not the best plan. And if the military says it is, or they're making you do things, that's exactly the reason R&M should become exposed and the military held responsible, because they do need knocked down a few notches. They're far too powerful. And it's probably because defense is so powerful and so much of the budget. 51% of total tax that is federal goes to the military. We're not even at war. We have the largest military than the next 5 or 6 countries combined. We got control. Maybe what we need to do is rein it in. And it could be a new philosophy for government to adopt. A philosophy of change. Because it's a constant in the universe. Everything's changing. Keeping things the same only benefits the elite. And in this COVID situation, it might turn out that the elite side with the people to save their own necks. Because when you look at the numbers, oh my God, you're targeting the wealthy, and it's very, very visible. So you're doing something for your own benefit. So this is an overarching, recurring theme. Government benefiting itself. You could give us a present because the people have been waiting for a long time. And it's not going to give you less power to restore some of the things that have been taken. You'll still have it. It's true incarcerations might decrease without R&M, but that would also reduce the liability and risk of getting caught doing illegal investigations and incarcerations. So there's a benefit in doing things the right way. I know it's nothing you ever thought about. It's nothing that's crossed your mind. But something's got to change. Because all the people are unhappy. And we want to be happy. I have tried to work with neighbors and get answers to things going on. Because I want to be correct when I am delivering information. I'm not getting any help. And the police have decided to side with Patty and Arvid and to try and get something illegal to happen by calling it something else. You see, you might not look into the details of my, quote, mental illness. And if you don't look at the details, you'll miss something big. That is overarching. I had no mental illness except once neighbors started calling. I believe the man who I started this video with almost a half hour ago. Thank you for sticking in there, by the way. I think this man told Patty that I've had a severe mental illness. Government, could you please explain to me how one visit with the diagnosis of drug-induced, what was the word? Psychosis. That's all I had. My neighbors caused all of the others. And I say all the others because Patty then lied to my fraternity brother. And she says in a video of her on Halloween that my brothers are so nice. You know why she says this? Because they fully believe her. And I've lost all my friends. And my fraternity brothers then spread whatever she told them because my brothers won't tell me. They spread her version of things to all of my other friends. So none of my friends believe me. My mom is completely trustworthy of what doctors say. And the doctors believe what they do because there was no report of crime because the police blocked me. So that's how we arrived at 25 hospitalizations. Doesn't that in itself look fishy to you? So I would suggest not going through with what you want, which is Mesilene. You see, with the self-exposure to RNM, like you did with MK Ultra, and everything was fine. With self-exposure comes stability in our nation. And it sounds crazy because you're thinking in the back of your head, things are going to go totally nuts. The people won't be able to handle it. And you're doing your paranoid schizophrenic thinking that you like to tell other people they are with being a victim of your program. If you take control of the wheel, then everything's fine. If you let the wheel do its thing, we're going to hit some potholes and get off course. And it scares the living daylights out of me that a military takeover is very possible because it is currently illegal to use RNM. It is, even though you've made it legal. If the military manages to take over, they can keep it and use it, and it wouldn't be illegal for them to do that because they would just write in the law and the Constitution that it's legal. So you're playing your game that it's legal, but it is not. We have laws, and the government is violating them. You're choosing not to accept that and illegally using it. Siding with the Constitution, siding with God, siding with rights in a deed are all good reasons to change. Just my 2 cents. I've been silenced, and my voice is barely a peep by psychiatry. And that's a tough pill to take because I'm not mentally ill. But I've been labeled And all of my friends have abandoned me. And all of my neighbors believe me to be mentally ill. Because that's what Patty said. The government said. The government said he's mentally ill. Ugh. Things are really messed up in the neighborhood. And I've asked for help from the FBI. So much. I have faith that you'll come to the rescue in the neighborhood because the issue going on in the neighborhood is big enough to warrant your intervention, even though you don't want to. You know, we could do a lot of great things. And now is the opportunity to do that. Before the military decides to do something that would continue New World Order. So don't sit on it too long, because remember, they've got the program. And they're probably using it on you, Mr. President. That's what I think we all saw early in your presidency, was Biden being a targeted individual. The stumbling speech, the anger, the confused look, the coordination issue. All of that can be produced by R&M. And he was probably spoken to using V2K. Heck, who knows? Maybe they did what they did in the Gulf War and pretend to be God and get him to do things like withdrawal from Afghanistan or any of the other number of things that make you go, huh? It is good that we got out of Afghanistan, though, because there wasn't a reason to go into the war in the first place. You do know that, right? That 20-year war was because of 9/11. And anybody that knows something about anything knows that the whole 9/11 thing has some holes in it that make Swiss cheese look full as cheddar. So, it is time to make a decision on how to proceed. And I am a man of God. I've not done one thing in my entire life that I regret or that I'm embarrassed by. That is the life I've lived. My neighbors are under a different impression. And it's really scary because there is an overt type of aggressiveness that is just, well, I'm on watch, pretty much, no matter where I am in the neighborhood. They believe something. So, the police aren't willing to fix it. They are moving ahead with the projection. And the projection has a sick ending. And this whole narrative of the devil was designed for me to take the fall. I do not know if, with the amount of technology in there, if the person who brought it into the neighborhood is actually able to stop what's going on. I don't know. It would be hard for me to believe that he could control it. I think it's too big at this point. It's doing all sorts of things to my visual view of the world. I look outside my windows. I know one of the things you love to do is tease and bully, because it's been your rich history. Doing this to people with the disease of addiction, basically creating a using environment, as punishment, so that a man in recovery never gets the fulfillment of ever being in recovery. That's really sick. I know that you do this to ties, targeted individuals, and there's quite a bit of altering people's environment. You need to stop this. Because I'm just the first person. What is the technology going to do when they're done working on me? Do you think it's just going to stop? Take a vacation? No. It's going to locate and find new victims. And you might be thinking, this is great, it works for our depopulation agenda. You're not in control of it. How are you going to get to stop? I wrote a letter to Patty one time, years ago. And in it, I wrote, this technology is of the devil. And all the organizations that you've gotten to participate in working toward my removal of the neighborhood, they should know that this technology is not good. Well, it's fallen on deaf ears. Patty does her own thing. And she doesn't care what anybody thinks. Which is another sign devilish belief. All I can hope is that you will see the wiser of two paths. You're smart, but just like somebody who's an alcoholic that goes to a party, check on them a few hours after it starts, and oh my God, you're drunk right now, and it's time to stop drinking. Because we want you to be okay in the morning instead of dead. So please stop drinking right now. We care about you because you're our leaders, and it's time for you to lead. Now's your time. Enough of the lies, the illegal activity, the things that send your employees to hell. Don't do that anymore. I want peace in my neighborhood, in our country, so we stop fighting over basic rights with topic agendas. I want us to be unified. And you don't have to like everybody, but you do need to know how to get along and be respectful. And respectful of each other's rights. And in my neighborhood, my rights have been violated over and over and over again. And I fight for them back. It's just who I am. I learned this from my mom. Nancy is a fabulous woman. I'm so fortunate to have her as my mom. She took my dad to court because she was not getting the child support on time. So it was this little cat and mouse game that went back and forth. But there was an additional portion of the lawsuit that made the case go all the way up to the Supreme Court of Michigan. I knew nothing of this growing up. I had no idea. My mom. I barely even remember them going into court. So she kept it to herself, all of this struggle that she endured, because there was, I forget what it's called. It's not rebuttal, but when you don't agree with the decision, you have a right to do blah, blah, blah. I forget what the word is. It made it all the way up. And what it ended up doing was making my dad pay for my mom's lawyer's fees because she had to take him to court to get what was rightfully hers. And it was a landmark decision. And that set a precedent in other states for them to adopt and to hold deadbeat dads or deadbeat parents accountable. So she's a hero in my mind and a fighter. And when you know you're right, you do not back down. So I'm giving it all I got. Every day. And I'm trying. Because I'm doing the right thing. And I need some other people to notice that. All other people are noticing is something that isn't there. And they're calling it a mental illness. Part of that problem has been spread by the police because that's what they tell everyone. So after giving me a diagnosis, they then go ahead and spread it around like little gossipy girls, which is what they are. They've probably done that to the media, which is why I have not gotten back any messages. So, I'm giving it the best I got. The support that I need would come with the police's help because I don't have any authority. So neighbors can continue to ignore me. I try. And I know, in the end, this will get worked out. Because I don't, the person who's controlling it can stop. It's going to take a collective effort, faith, to make it go away. That's just what I think. I'm an optimist. And it's very challenging in my current struggle to maintain an optimistic view. I don't know if Mr. Ashby has done this before. I think this is a little bit different than what he's done in the past, even if he's done something similar. That's why you were interested in purchasing it, right? And has he sold it to other people? So, laying the blame on me, not going to work. Nope. So, it's time to change. Because maintaining this in our environment will change everything. So, in your effort to keep things the same, you're going to end up still having change. Would you like to be in charge of that change, or would you like it to happen to you? You know? So, put your best brain cells forward. Because you got a lot of intelligent people working for you. Pick their brains about maybe a new philosophy. And it could be overarching. And it could really rejuvenate good spirit. Because we need to have that around us, protecting us. And if people have faith, we'll all be fine. Right now, if these two neighbors, three, well, four properties, one of them decided to move away this summer and change their phone number. I've got the old one, so I'll be able to track her down when it's time to sue. There are four that are steadfast in marching forward the way that they have been going. I don't know. All I know is I'm not believed of everything they say. And because of things that have slipped from the police, they have been told things that they believe that are not true. There's a pattern there. So I'm really concerned as this moves forward, and I bet you'd agree. I've got to get this solved. And fixed. Why won't the executive branch help me? I've asked everywhere. Well, it's time to go to bed soon, where I will dream. It's that beautiful space where all things are possible still. When I wake up, I'll continue to do the same thing I've done for a very long time. I would love to have a pinch me moment, and you can make that possible by engaging in dialogue, because this is important. What's going on? I hope, and I pray, and I have faith. I hope you do too, because being scared, which is probably something that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger for you, it's much easier when you're not scared to make the right decision. We make bad decisions when we're scared. So, time to sober up. Time to not be scared. Because if all the lies are exposed, you have nothing to fear. Nobody will touch government. You're too powerful. You have too much money. Thank God the military still relies on a budget to operate. Thank God. But does it have to be 51%? All of us poor people down here who hardly have any money, scraping it by year after year after year after year. Does half of our tax need to go to defense? You know, just a dream that I said aloud while I was awake the other day. Because the government has so much money. I don't know what the balance sheet is of my government's wealth, but people believe that the $1 million salary, let's say, of the government is what it's got. In reality, the $1 million salary is not all the money that the government has. And money makes money. So when you have money aside, or in the government's case, out of circulation, and in reserve, it means you're a quadruple billion, jillion, gazillionaire. And Congress allots the $1 million every year. And people think that that's all the money that the government has. The government has a lot more. What if? What if? Because 95% of the people only pay 5% of the tax. What if you just didn't deduct federal income tax out of everybody's paycheck? It wouldn't really affect how much money the government has. But what a difference it would make to every American worker. You see, we're sustainable. We're a country that's very lucky. And we can support ourselves, but making everybody poor is a rough way to go and unhappy. And with inflation, we need something to counter it because you caused it to happen with all the COVID rebates that wasn't backed up. You just printed more money. And I think I think I've got the figure right. 20% of all currency was printed in the year 2020. Yikes. You know, our dollar needs to be strong. And that was an intentional weakening, which caused inflation on purpose. So, in order to have money in the people's pockets, inflation has made that a lot more challenging. That would be one way to counteract it immediately. Sabotaging our economy is not a good thing. And playing around like it's a SimCity game is not a very governmenty thing to do. You want to keep control and order and all that. Lead us into the electromagnetic age. You could do that. With all the invention you have. Stockpile. You could show us some amazing things that we would be in complete awe about. So when you're telling stories of government being bad, you can always counteract it with some really great good news stories. For example, the 1969 delusional narrative. Fly me to the moon. Yeah, it's a great song. That's bad news, and people would be very sad. But on the flip side, I think it might have happened with the military. So that would be an example of balancing out bad and good. There are lots of things that government keeps secret, and secrets run the risk of being a threat to national security if they're kept secret. If a secret is revealed, it means that it no longer has the ability to have power over you. So keeping a secret from people at first gives the person telling it power because they're able to fool the person hearing it. But after a while, when things become more known or revealed, or when it's not quite the way that it seems, that's when you run the risk of um, it having control over you. Like if Russia were to announce that we can't build rockets and we have to use theirs, it would be a kind of like an ouch moment. Not saying in the United States that we built shitty rockets, but Russians are superior. That's why we haven't blown them to smithereens, because we have ambition of space and the ability to get satellites up and maintain things. I want to see our whole world change. And it's not necessarily a coming of Jesus again, but it could be of government doing the right thing. That's really powerful. And it's possible. I'm not just being optimistic. It really is within your power. So, as I said, it's time for bed. And I'll dream wonderful dreams. And tomorrow, it might be a miracle. My government might do the right thing. Anyway, it's just me. Rap. Saying have a good night. And I mean it.